Welcome to another episode of By the Numbers. I'm Renee Smith.
And I'm Michelle Fleming. And we've got the big calculator out again.
I knew that would excite you because you really like that giant calculator.
Well, it's perfect color too. Purple's one of my favorite.
I do like purple, but for those of you that don't have the giant calculator at home, any calculator will do for this next activity. And we're still trying to help kids make connections between numbers, but now we're going to actually kind of use one of your skills that we talked about for little kids, and that's actually counting up and counting back.
Oh, okay.
But we're going to use the calculator to do it. So I'm going to ask you to enter a certain number.
Okay.
And then I'm going to give you a number I want you to change it to, and I'm going to actually ask you to record what you do while you're doing it. Okay? So we're going to give you the paper and the calculator.
Okay.
So let's start easy, like what we might do with younger children. And I'm going to ask you to enter the number 53.
Okay. And I'm going to write it down here too. Okay. 53.
Okay. And then we're going to assume that you're thinking like you're a young child today. And
or that I haven't had much sleep.
Or that you haven't had a whole lot of sleep. And I'm going to actually ask you to change that to 57. And what would you do? Now, you can't just you can't clear it and enter 57. You have to move from the 53 to the 57.
Okay. Well, I'm going to add 2.
And that got you to 55.
And that got me to 55.
So you aren't there quite yet.
And then you said 57?
Uh-huh. I'm
going to add another 2. And that gets me to 57.
Okay. And you made it. Perfect. Okay.
That's added 4 total.
Added 4 total.
Okay.
So you could have done that in one step if you'd added originally to the 53 just 4.
Okay.
Okay. So we were just working with the ones place. We left the tens place the same for our number. Okay.
Clear?
Clear? Okay, let's make it a little harder for you.
Okay.
Let's move, let's start with the number 315 this time. And you're
Which is really a good, you know, just when you said, when you said 315, do they know even what numbers to put in for 315? Because for younger kids, that's another ability that some of them don't have.
Right, now we're into the hundredths place, and we've just upped the ante a little bit. So obviously, as you're doing this with your children, you want to keep it something they can be successful with.
Okay.
But if we're thinking a little bit older students now what I want you to do this time is I want you to change the number again by using your operations to 305.
Okay, I'm going to do this real quick.
Just out there to the side.
So write it down so I know where I'm going.
Okay, that's your target.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I'm looking at my numbers and I'm thinking they both end in 5, so I'm going to subtract 5. I'm going to use 5 as my subtracting.
Okay.
So I subtracted 5, and that gets me to 310.
Oh, I like how you use the arrow because you're not quite there yet, are you?
Nope, I'm going to do a minus 5 again, and that gets me to 305.
Okay, so how many did you really subtract this time?
I subtracted 10 total.
Okay, and what's important there is, first of all, you knew to subtract because the number was decreasing in size. So that's one skill that sometimes kids don't know which way to go, whether they're going to add or subtract. And so it's important right there, we're using comparison. We know that this is a larger number than this one was, and that's where we were headed. And I liked your thought process that you subtracted 5 each time because they both ended in 5, so you used that kind of as a number that you thought you could use. I also like the fact that you used arrow language, which again, some of our parents might not be familiar with arrow language, but kids see that in school, that because when Michelle subtracted 5 and was only at 310, she wasn't to what she needed to equal, so she was going to continue, and we use an arrow to show that.
And if we had done it with an equal sign like this, which is our natural instinct to do even as adults, this is not mathematically correct because this number is 310 now.
Right.
And this number is 305, and they are not equal
to
or
each
the
other.
same as.
Right.
So that's why if you're continuing your thinking, we need to do that arrow language or put them on 2 separate lines.
Okay.
Okay.
Now I want you to clear it again.
Okay.
And start back with 315.
Okay.
This time I'm going to jump it a little bit because what I'm going to ask you to change it to is now 295. I've just increased the difficulty, and why do you think what is it that I've done that's increased the difficulty?
Well, you changed from 300s to 200s.
I did. I changed the hundreds place now. But if you think back to what we did before, maybe that might help you.
because I could still continue to subtract 5, but I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to do 315 minus 10.
Okay.
Because I know from minusing that up here, that got me to 305.
Right.
Now, my first thought is, if I didn't know this relationship, I'd go to 300 because that's an easy one to get to.
So you'd subtract 5.
So I'd subtract another 5, and that gets me to 300. And then I'd subtract my last 5 to get to 295. So I actually subtracted 10, 15, 20.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, so you're working with a lot of skills here on a very, it's very simple to do. Most people have calculators at home, pencil and paper, and you can work with both addition and subtraction, but you're doing a lot of different skills there.
Oh, yeah.
And you're also helping them learn this piece of technology.
And you know what? Even when we say we don't have a lot of big calculators like this, I think we got this at the Dollar General store for $1 or $2 or something like that.
And it's just kind of fun.
Yeah, it is just kind of fun, especially for us old folks. We kind of like the big things instead of the little things.
So here we go. That was another episode of By the Numbers. Thanks for joining us.
And for more episodes of By the Numbers or other shows, turn to mykidsturn.com.